Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretending with Dice. As always, I'm your host and game master, AJ. Just a couple of quick things before we get into today's episode. Firstly, I once again wanted to remind everyone that we're going to be back at Dragon Meet as part of the podcast zone once again. Dragon Meet is taking place on Saturday, November 29th, and this year it's going to be bigger and better than ever as it's moved to the London XL Centre. We're super excited for this year's event and we look forward to seeing a bunch of you there. So head on over to dragonmeet.co.uk for tickets and more info. Secondly, I've got a bit of a call of action to all of you. We're kind of in the home straight here with Frontier Season 2. In fact, after this episode, there's only going to be 2 more episodes in the season, with the finale dropping as episode 150 of the podcast in 4 weeks' time on Thursday, November 27th. We've just had the best time recording this season of the show, and we hope you all had a great time listening to it. And we're planning on following it up with a Q&A episode. It's been a little while since we've done one of those. So here's where you all come in. We want your questions. Anything at all related to Frontier is on the table, obviously, other than asking what's going to happen next in the story. But yeah, we want to hear from you. The best place to submit your questions is probably on our Discord server. We have a dedicated Q&A submissions channel on there. If you're not on the server yet, there's a direct invite link on our website, pretendingwithdice.com, that will take you straight there. If you're not a Discord user, though, you can also send us your questions via our regular social media pages on Bluesky, Facebook, Instagram, and X/Twitter. We'll also accept email submissions as well, so yeah, you can send them to pretendingwithdice@outlook.com. The deadline for submissions is December the 1st, so you've got a few weeks to get them sent in, and I'll most likely be posting reminders and also mentioning it again in the intros to the last couple episodes too, so we look forward to hopefully answering your burning questions about the show. So yeah, I think for now, that's everything. So let's get into today's episode, Streets of Shal'kara, Part 3. Enjoy. The blazing sun continues its slow pilgrimage across the skies of Shal'kara, the hours ticking by as the temporarily split away team go about their business in the capital city of Shal'kara. Rai and Johnny making a mental note to report to the ship and indeed to Murphy and Fel what you witnessed in the local marketplace. You've been able to conclude your sale of various fabric patterns to a local merchant, gaining a good sort of sampling of local currency in the process. Whether or not you got a good deal, as the merchant claimed, or you were underpaid, is really of no consequence, however, as you've been able to covertly have your gains beamed up to the Tenzing, scanned and replicated in sufficient quantities that I don't think money is going to be an issue for any of you for the remainder of the mission. Chief Himek has been keeping watch in the lodgings while you've all been out, making sure that no one is snooping around or anything like that. And I think the first thing he does upon your return, Rai, as I think you'd be the first of the 2 pairs to make it back to the room, is report that there's been no sign of any interest in you all, at least here. He has also swept the room for any listening devices and such, and found nothing, so I think it's safe to say that you're all relatively secure to talk openly in this room. As I said, Rai and Johnny, I think you've made it back first, and you've had a short amount of time back in the room before you hear the sound of the door opening, and Murphy and Fel enter.
I assume your trip round the marketplace was successful then?
Well, we certainly made some money, but we got to witness a bit of the culture as well, and it's safe to say we're going to need to watch our mouths.
Murphy's just going to look pointedly at Ray.
For once, it wasn't me saying anything.
No, I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure.
We witnessed the local authorities being quite heavy-handed with one of the locals. So yeah, and then from what we could gather, it was to do with them, I don't know, speaking out of turn, it seemed? Something as simple as that?
I imagine because of the festival being tomorrow, security and things are tight.
Well, there's having tight security, and then there's having somebody dragged off for supposedly speaking in a blasphemous manner, which is pretty much what Ensign Conought and I saw. You know, someone protesting their innocence, saying that they didn't actually say anything untoward or anything that would be considered offensive, and they got dragged away. Very much paints the picture that this is a place where any sort of deviation from the acceptable social norm is, it's not looked favourably upon.
Looks like this Yule has a tight grip over dissent. We found on our little tour there are 16 statues of each a different face of Yule.
16? One for each host?
Presumably. Each had a different name. The faces all look different.
16 is a lot of hosts. I doubt even Lady Rawl has had that many, and she's been around for ages.
A long time, but no way she's burnt through that many hosts in her lifetime already. I mean, I'm only on my third one. Were the statues dated in any way? What was the earliest one that you found?
No dates, but Castro, I think, was the first one.
It doesn't match up with the name that Lady Rawl gave us, so it's more than likely that this first statue is of their first new host post-colonization on this planet, possibly. Well, colonization is probably the wrong word. Subjugation, maybe.
There's every indication of this being one Trill potentially just setting up some sort of dynasty. To my eye, at least. I don't want to badmouth the entire culture or anything, but like, do you know anything about in the history of the Trill? Was there ever a point where people went out into space and did this kind of thing?
Truthfully, Ensign, the only thing that I can think of is what Lady Rawl told us about, was the group of exiles that tried to seize power from themselves on the homeworld, and when they were basically defeated and pushed back, they stole themselves a ship and went out into the cosmos.
This is going to be quite the dilemma in terms of Prime Directive. Just thinking about how long this culture has existed, with this being the way of things.
Indeed. I don't think we can claim it as cultural contamination because, I mean, you know, the signs do seem to point to the fact that this is, if not the first place the Trill came to, it's definitely one of the more focal points of Trills coming into this sector of space. Yeah, the Prime Directive is going to be very slippery on this one, I have to agree.
It's going to be interesting to hear what the captain thinks of this.
The Federation didn't know about him, and it's been, what, nearly 300 years since they left Trill? This counts as a distinct culture, doesn't it?
They've definitely had an influence over the culture's natural development. So it is a grey area.
Especially given that this development is probably all they know.
I just mean this Yule, if it's the same symbiote, he was originally from the homeworld. Lady Rawl remembered him. I mean, where's the separation?
I suppose it would depend on if his influence is positive or negative.
I don't know. Giant statues to himself, guards dragging people away who speak out, a big honkin' palace. Seems pretty negative to me.
Well, we don't know what the circumstances were when they arrived. They could have been facing a critical point in their development that Yule actually helped steer from disaster. We just don't know.
The other possibility is if Yule crashed on this planet, at that point in the natural development of the natives, they might have taken to him and revered him as some kind of deity. And it's possible that it went to his head. Given his history of wanting to try and seize power on the homeworld, there's plenty of precedent for people who've come from that walk of life seizing power among a weakened or naive society to build themselves a power base, and then they just roll with it. They have carte blanche to do what they want.
Yeah, given how big the statues were, safe to say it's gone to his head.
Indeed. I mean, that's the mark of someone who definitely doesn't want to relinquish power. You will remember my visage for all time.
Or it's his own way of remembering his own past.
Possibly, but if you were going to do that, there's less gaudy ways to do it.
Has any of the equipment picked up any technology or any Trill technology that's been in the background, maybe? Or
can I roll to check what was on the tricorders?
Yeah, sure. I don't think this is going to be a particularly hard check. You just kind of, but you are, you're going to have to sort of scroll back through like where everybody's just been kind of scanning as they go. So I think we probably ought to do a check of some sort.
Okay.
I don't know, just a reason science check. I think really. I mean, this isn't going to be an instant thing. I think you're going to have to spend 10 minutes here because you're sort of coordinating over everything that everybody else has, collected.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want just one of us to roll for it?
Well, you said you were doing it, so
okay.
yeah.
2d20.
Reason science 2d20. I would just call this a difficulty 1, but just to see,
A 19 and a 4.
19 and 4. Okay,
total.
so you got your one success there. I'm just trying to think if any of your focuses apply, but reverse engineering, cybernetics, xenobiology, anthropology, the Borg doesn't really fit what you're trying to scan for here. An argument could sort of be made for anthropology, but not really, because you're just scanning for tech and things, aren't you, here? So I don't think so. So yeah, okay, we got one success. I think maybe you take a little bit of time here, 10, 15 minutes or so, just to kind of coordinate everybody kind of like sending you the files that they've, because you've essentially been scanning for a day almost. I think I'll say
nothing's pinged up in terms of technology that we would consider abnormal for this society given how it's operating right now.
Well, that's a different question.
Quite analog, aren't they?
That's a different question because you asked if it had come up with any Trill technology first. Well, what I'll say then, okay. The scans aren't revealing anything sort of recognizable as like anything from the Trill homeworld that even sort of historically. Nothing's coming up as like, detected, a particular type of power supply or something like that,
Yeah.
I will say you have not detected any Trill at all other than yourselves. Every single life form here that it's detected one Tellarite, one human, one half human, half Bajoran, 2 Trill, and then just every other life form is the native life form here. You have not detected any Trill at all. Now, you haven't been to the palace or anything like that, and like the implication, I would say it's quite. You would find it all quite obvious that there's a social separation between, based on Lord Yule being kind of revered and everything. There's probably some kind of social separation between any Trill that might be here and the general populace, and you've very much just been with the general populace. So, yeah, but yeah, I'm just with no implication. I'm just saying. You have not detected any Trill where you've been.
Okay. Well, the active scans have picked up nothing in terms of Trill technology, but also it's kind of confirmed something that we were discussing before. The only Trill life forms that have been picked up while we've been wandering around this part of the city are myself and Fel. I think it's safe to say there's definitely some kind of societal segregation going on. And I don't think we're going to get anything more concrete on Trill presence unless we head closer to the main palace. And with this festival going on, that might prove difficult.
It does seem strange, though, that the only statues are Yule, though. You would think if there were any other Trill, they might have been celebrated in the same way.
Well, he would have needed other Trill here whenever he needed a new host. So there must have been at least as many other survivors as he's had incarnations.
It's true. Unless the local population is
Not
compatible in
suited.
some way.
Well, that'd be a first. I've only heard of a couple of other instances of symbiotes surviving in non-Trill species, and even then, not for very long. Only for a day or two. It's bad for the symbiote, bad for the host. It just doesn't work.
It's usually a holding procedure while they wait for the proper host to arrive, or in extreme emergencies.
Yeah, it's normally only attempted if absolutely necessary. I doubt he'd be able to survive in the native populace for an extended amount of time, even if they were more compatible than other non-Trill species. It wouldn't be safe for him. Like I said, it's really only good for a couple of days.
The longest I've heard is 3.5 days.
Yeah. Fact is, he's been here too long for that to be a realistic option for survival.
Now you'd burn through the population in no time. And it's not exactly good if you want to keep a particular image in the minds of the populace, jumping faces day to day. In my mind, we've got two possibilities here. One, Yule has kept himself alive by getting new hosts from the indigenous population.
As we discussed, unlikely.
Or any of the Trill that came with him when they left the homeworld has gradually been working his way through them.
What, and had them on ice?
I'm spitballing here, Murphy, I'll be honest with you, but it seems like the only other theory that kind of fits. If Yule is Lord and Master over this world, he'll want to keep himself in power as long as possible, and the easiest way to do that is to extend their life.
Well, there's always the old-fashioned way of making sure there's Trill around when you might need a new host. Make sure any survivors have kids, and those kids keep having kids, and so on. You know, living in a big old palace, waited on hand and foot. He probably didn't have much else to do.
Possibly.
Well, it's something for the doctor to maybe look into, with Lady Ral's help, possibly. Anything else to report?
Apart from the fact that we managed to get some money. Nothing in particular.
All right, then. Then I think it's time we check in with the captain.
Indeed.
Murphy to Tenzing.
Colin's here. Go ahead, Murphy.
So we'd just like to report in and give you a brief summary of what we found so far.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I'll relay that we separated and took a tour around the city, and Ray and Johnny have acquired money. Noticing the cultural and religious aspect of the city and how we're going to have to keep a low profile. And the 16 statues of one Yule in our theories.
Commander, this is Lady Rai. Having as many as 16 hosts over the course of a lifetime is extremely unusual for a symbiote. I myself am on my 11th host, but even having as many as I have is uncommon.
Lady Ral, do you have a small list of names? Because we're unsure if there are any other Trill on the planet. We're not picking up any at the moment. Would they maybe potentially have been passengers on the Trill ship?
I can look into it. I would have to contact the historical archives back on Trill, most likely. We never had a full accounting of the number of members or indeed names of everyone who was involved in Yule's group.
Any insight you can give us would be appreciated. And Murphy will read out the 6 names that she has.
I do not recognize these names. The large proportion of those who followed Yule were unjoined, and indeed any who mutinied aboard the starship and gave it into his hands would also have been mostly unjoined. It would follow that when he required to take a new host, he would dip into this pool of followers first. And of course, he was not the only joined Trill in his group to escape aboard this ship. Forgive me, I am delving back several hosts' lifetimes worth of memories of my own to try and recall this information. It's been some time since I've thought about this.
Of course. Any information or any names you can give us would be helpful, and we can possibly find any evidence for them. Because at the moment, the only Trill that we have firm evidence for is Yule themselves. There doesn't seem to be any Trill in the vicinity of where we are currently. That doesn't mean that they're not here, but the only Trill that we have at the moment is those in the party.
Yule. Yes, Yule was the leader of this particular group. Not of the whole movement, but this sect, gang, whatever you want to call it. He was not alone, though. What was his name? Come on, what was his name?
You can't see her, obviously, you've just gone in things, but you're kind of, you can picture her sort of closing her eyes and sort of delving deep into her memories here.
Zima. Yes, Zima. He was Yule's second. He would not have left without him.
And they were a joined Trill.
Yes.
All right. Currently, Captain, the population seems content, though under severe scrutiny from the powers that be. A little bit of not taking Lord Yule's name in vain. But we'll definitely keep an eye out for this Zima.
Yeah. See what he can turn up. Might be the key to finding out what happened here. This festival tomorrow. Big events tend to bring out dignitaries, bigwigs, and whatnot. You say you haven't detected any other Trill so far, but possibly they'll be out for this thing. If it's as big as you say it's meant to be.
Sir.
It's probably a good opportunity to gather information from the general public as well. People tend to let their guard down a little bit when they're enjoying themselves. Try and canvass the whole site. See what you can find out.
Will do.
That said, don't take any unnecessary risks. From what you reported, things could get a little tense if the wrong thing was said. Stay safe.
Yes, sir.
We will need to discuss, Captain, Commander, what is to be done about Yule if he can indeed be positively identified. He is, after all, a criminal in the eyes of my people. That may be so, Lady Ral, but I think not a conversation to be had right now. We don't yet have a full picture of what the situation is down on the planet. Of course, Captain, but this is an issue we will have to face at some point. I'm sure. Murphy, thanks for your report. Continue your investigations and gather as much data as you can.
We'll upload what we have scanned so far, sir.
Good. Make sure you stay in regular contact with the doctor as well. I hear there was some kind of medical issue.
Yes, I'll have Lieutenant Commander Rai do that.
Excellent. Well, I won't keep you any longer. Stick to the standard check-in pattern, and good luck. Tenzing out.
Murphy out, sir.
Speaking of the medical situation with the two Trill members of the team, I think it's probably been about another 3 or 4 hours since you last spoke to the doctor and took your supplements and whatnot. It's getting towards evening time now, so yeah, it's been a whole kind of afternoon since then. And I think, Dr. Ireela, you've been kind of monitoring from up on the ship again, and I think you've probably noticed the steady decline in biomarker numbers and such again with the Trill. Still no real change in the numbers of the other members of the team, though, so this definitely seems to be confined to the 2 Trill. Ray, I think about this time when Murphy's making the call up to the captain, you start to kind of become aware that your headache is returning, along with a bit of a sort of scratchiness at the back of your throat. Just as you're thinking this, actually, Fel coughs loudly in the background. She's clearly feeling slightly similar.
Yeah. It's almost perfect timing. I'm starting to feel a bit drowsy again. Fel, how are you doing?
No, just PG. I could do with a hot drink or something.
Hot Lactogeno would be nice right now.
I don't suppose we could, call up to 10 forward with an order to go. Get them to beam it down to us?
I bet you anything that Murphy has got, instant Ractogeno sachet somewhere in her.
Yeah, I mean, you brought packs with you. I mean, look,
is that Starfleet standard issue rations?
Hell no. Hell no.
What special blend with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay, it is up to you if you want to check in the doctor or not. That was delegated to you by Murphy.
It probably couldn't hurt to check in with sickbay. Ray to sickbay.
Ireela here.
Doctor, Fel and I are starting to feel a little bit more, a little bit more rotten than we were earlier on today. I'm starting to get a scratchy feeling in my throat, and the headache has returned. And Fel is, it looks like she's got full-blown hay fever.
Hey!
We've been taking the medical supplements that you gave us, but they're starting to wear off.
How long in between taking them and the symptoms returning?
A rough estimate is 4 hours.
That is not very long. Okay, I'm going to run some scans just now.
Okay, Doctor. Keep us advised, please.
I will. Don't worry.
So, are you running them sort of you're tied into the medical bracelet things they're wearing? It's sort of using that as a data source, is that?
Yeah. I want to go through everything and have a good look at what's going on. Is it still only the same nutrients as before? Are there other things starting to get out of whack?
Okay, I think I'm going to need a reason medicine check from you. There's difficulty 2. I don't think we've got any momentum at the moment.
No, I don't think so. 2 and 2.
Oh, cool. 2 successes there, 2 and a 2. I think, you take a little bit of time here because you're sort of looking for in-depth causes and stuff. I think what you come to the conclusion of, now that you've got 2 subjects on the ground and you've got a couple of data points from earlier on when Fel came back from the first mission and from sort of early, when there first was a bit of a dip in levels and stuff. I think what you're finding is that now that you've kind of realised that it's just the Trill who are having difficulties, you're able to kind of delve a little more specifically into what is not right and how that might affect Trill. I think a conclusion that you come to is that while you don't have a cause of what is causing this, the things that are being affected are chemicals and enzymes that are associated in general with how the symbiote supports how it sort of supports the immune system of the host, and also just in general kind of how the biological connection between the host and the symbiote it's a little bit, it's not in danger, they're not in danger of decoupling or anything like that, but it definitely is sort of it's
interfering in some way.
Yeah, and it's more kind of like I say, it's like the symbiote is getting sick, and that's making them feel sick, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
more than the other way around.
I mean, it makes perfect sense if it's the symbiote getting sick.
Yeah, the symbiote is, I don't want to say, not like deathly ill or anything like that, but they haven't been there for very long. So it's more just like, it is an uncomfortable environment for the symbiote, and that is being passed on to the host. That's the one sentence summary I would give you there.
Is the rate of it changing?
Not really, no. It does seem to be cumulative. Like, you do notice that when they last used the supplements, it maybe didn't get fully back up to normal, but then they did use them on the planet rather than like away from whatever is causing this effect. So that could be taken into account for that. So the supplements did help. They sort of settled things out for a little bit, but like they never fully got back to normal, is what I'm saying on that.
Okay.
You don't think they're in any danger. It's more, like I say, it's more like a discomfort and like a sort of slight sort of beginnings of an illness kind of symptoms with with these kind of levels, rather than like, we got to get them out of there right now, or them and the symbiotes are going to die. You know, that's not. It's not quite that bad. Yeah.
I mean, really, what I want to be able to say is, okay, well, I want to keep an eye on it so that we can hopefully work out what sort of timescales are safe. It might stabilise, it might slow down, it might accelerate, but hopefully with a bit more time I'll be able to work out, because if I do need to give them a time frame, I'd rather warn them that as early as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, the more data you have, like the longer they're down there, the more kind of like data you're going to have in terms of like how the rates of things are changing, and what longer exposure, over the course of more than a few hours is doing. Because obviously, when Fel was down there before, she was only really down for sort of a short period of time, really, and then from this mission they've been there. I probably want to say 8-9 hours at this point. So it's, that is quite a short period of time to have already had to have taken supplements.
Yeah.
However, this is an unknown. I mean, every planet you go to that has never been to before, it's kind of a bit of an unknown. And you never really know what there's going to be, in terms of an allergic reaction or whatever in any species. I mean, I think this is sort of not really touched on in the shows and things anymore, but I think that is probably, like, getting into the nitty-gritty of it. A big part of your job is like figuring out like, okay, this planet has a elevated level of this, so maybe people ought to be taking a shot of this before they go out, and stuff like that. Is
this exactly safe? Do we need to change things for this? Yeah, that seems reasonable.
So, I mean, the category of like, oh, this is an M-class like habitable planet is quite broad, really.
This is a habitable planet. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Technically.
It just means really that the atmosphere is breathable and it's of like a comfortable temperature. There might be any number of like plants or things on the planet that are just,
it doesn't mean
not
that
friendly to people. Yeah.
That's going to make you incredibly ill, potentially.
Even like microbes and things that, like,
let alone someone having an allergy to something that we've never come across before. And then how do you treat anaphylaxis in however many different species you happen to have on the planet?
I mean, just on this one away team, you've got like 4 different species basically. So
it's unfortunate that it is affecting the symbionts.
Yes,
given all the details around this particular away mission.
Okay, so but you've got this data to hand now then, and it is what your recommendation is to the away team is up to you at this point.
From my analysis, could I tell if those particular nutrients if it's those dropping again that's making them feel worse, or if it's just a general systemic, the symbionts not doing well?
Well, as in, like, if it was the first time, that's one thing.
Like, I don't want to tell them to try more of the supplements and like spike their levels.
No, it's not so much like, because it's not the dropping that's feeling, that's making them feel bad. Like, so like it's the level being low, if that makes sense. So bringing it back up and having it drop again is not going to make them feel worse because they're having it drop again. It's just, they will feel better when the levels are high and worse when it's low. I think in general, it could be said that they are feeling ill because the symbiote is having trouble supporting their immune systems as well as it normally would, because it itself is having some trouble.
Okay. And
again, I want to say, like, at this point, not in life-threatening terms at all, but
anything, even something minor, if it's acute, it hits differently.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be, like, inaccurate to say they both probably feel like they've got the beginnings of, like, a head cold.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I shall get in touch with them, I guess. Lt Cmdr Rai.
Rai here.
So, I've had a look through some of your medical bracelet data. It appears that there's something environmental that is making your symbionts feel under the weather. So your host self is perfectly healthy.
But our symbionts are feeling the effects of something.
Yes. It appears that something is creating some minor interference between the two. And its first effect, that's going to be physically noticeable, is a slight weakening of the immune system.
Which would explain why we're starting to feel like we've got the common cold and hay fever and such.
Yes. It is not dangerous. It does not seem to be accelerating. Unfortunately, I'm not sure there's very much I can do for you while you are there.
Understood.
And I shall let you know if anything changes on that. I shall also be keeping a close eye on what sort of time frames it would be reasonable for you to stay on the planet.
That would make sense. In the meantime, we'll keep actively scanning while we're down here to see if we can work out what is actually causing this, if it's airborne or if it's something else entirely. If things get any worse, we'll report back and let you know.
It may be worth bringing back some atmospheric samples, or maybe some water samples or food when you come back up. See if we can figure out what's causing this.
Understood. We'll get some samples and send them back up to the ship next time we check in. Rai out.
I think you got all that, Fel.
Yeah, I got it. Just my luck. And I'm allergic to the one planet that I point out on the star map.
Pulls out a bag, waves it around in the air and zips it up.
There's your atmospheric sample.
Practical as ever.
What? It's sealed, isn't it?
So Fel's feeling the impact of this.
Yeah, she's getting slightly more snarky than normal.
Yeah.
Rhaego sort of moves over to one side of the room and sort of leans against the wall and starts thinking, what if that is part of the problem? Indulge me for a second, everyone. Join trails such as myself and Fel. Something on this planet is affecting us. Our symbionts are starting to feel a weakening of the immune system, and we're getting these ridiculous symptoms. What if it's a natural occurrence, maybe that is playing into part of the reason why Yule has had so many faces, so many hosts over their time here. What if it's a naturally occurring thing that is bad for symbionts? That could explain why Yule's been burning through the hosts. And the struggle to stay alive might be part of the reason for the way this society views him. Maybe he's oppressive because he's trying to survive.
It's possible.
That sounds entirely likely. to be honest. Unless they've got some kind of way around the symptoms that you're experiencing.
Possibly. If the effect that we're experiencing happens to the symbiont, when the host body is changed, the symbiont in a successful situation gets, along with the host, there is this kind of euphoric kind of, we feel renewed, our energy levels go up, we feel fantastic. What if that's what's been happening here, and Yule has been surviving by jumping host to host to get that kind of euphoria back, but they have to remain out of sight, away from the effect, to maintain life as long as possible. Because the sicker a symbiont gets, the harder it is for the host to stay alive, and for the symbiont to lose the ability to regulate the immune system is pretty bad.
It's probably why he's had so many different hosts. After they're joined, they'll start getting sick unless he's got a way to combat this. Probably have a much shorter lifespan than we'd normally expect.
Maybe. And that might also play into the idea of Yule is this celebrated figure, but he's very rarely seen, because to come out in the open for too long may cause, well, eventually would cause fatal exposure to whatever is affecting Trill symbionts.
Maybe, but we've got no evidence he's not being affected like we are. He might just be an asshole ruler who doesn't associate with the peasantry.
Murphy's just going to chuckle.
There might be a bit of that. There might be a bit of that.
The whole palace is surrounded by a giant defensive wall. This is not a guy who is inviting a lot of people over.
No. Maybe not. Maybe because he can't have people over. Because he's in constant isolation to stay healthy. So, again, this is just me spitballing a theory, but I can't help thinking there is a connection now between how we're feeling and how Yule must be feeling or have felt since they arrived here. Because if this is a natural phenomenon, then this is not a friendly place for Trill to be.
Well, maybe we'll get a good look at him tomorrow and we can scan. Get a better idea.
Indeed. Himek, while we've been down on the planet, have you been able to pick out any good high-up vantage points that would let us view the palace without obstruction? Has anything come into your line of sight?
I think Himek has mostly been here in the room since you checked in, but I think when he was doing a lot of kind of looking around as you were coming through the city on the way here. I think,
that's what I'm kind of thinking about. Yeah, as we've been walking around before we got to the hotel, did he spot anywhere that might be good as a vantage point?
Most of the buildings are small compared to the palace. The smart move would be try to get on the roof, somewhere along the festival site, as close to the palace as possible. But high vantage point? Oh, maybe it is on purpose that the buildings are shorter than the palace wall.
Maybe we ask the boy if he knows of a rooftop we can look.
Oh, you mean Ravel?
Yes.
He's as good a source as any. He knows the area.
I mean, he kind of took you along the avenue anyway to where, pretty much you've almost had done almost a tour of where the festival's happening.
Yeah.
And there were buildings lining the sides of that wide avenue. I mean, there definitely were some close to the palace, if that's what you were looking for. That, like, I mean, you wouldn't need to specifically say, "Do you know a rooftop?" Because you've kind of been there, and you could see that there were some higher roofs, in the area. If you wanted to try and get Himek to get up on one of them or something.
Yeah.
I think all of the buildings are really only about 3, maybe 4 stories tall, and they're all kind of dwarfed by the palace and its like defensive wall.
Well, we could probably spread ourselves out, try and get as many angles as we can.
Solid plan.
Definitely think we still need to keep the 1 Trill pair group because you guys are feeling it.
Yeah.
So
I recommend So, to be honest, that's the best idea.
Yeah, probably just the same.
Yeah,
probably just the same.
Same split?
Me and Johnny.
Yeah.
Me and Johnny, you and Fel.
Yeah.
So, keeping that split then, is the thinking that maybe you get Himek up on a roof and then the rest of you kind of like, mingle? Or what are you thinking?
Yeah, probably like linger at the back of whatever crowd we're standing in.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we want to be involved, but we also want to be as inconspicuous as possible.
Yeah.
More so we can also observe what the populations are like how, if they're worshipping kind of thing, and we can kind of copy them. So we don't stand out.
You don't want to be in the front row of anything.
No, exactly.
Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm wiped out.
Yeah, take a rest. Hopefully you'll feel a little bit better, but just keep an eye on your supplements.
Sure. Well, in that case, I'm calling dibs on the big bed.
Murphy's just like, I can do the floor. The floor is fine.
Yeah.
I will keep watch for any disturbances overnight, Commander.
Let me take a watch at some point, though, so you get some rest, Himek.
Yeah, he sort of gives you a nod of thanks. You've known him for a few years, and he was definitely like in the war. He was like, because he's special forces and that and everything. Like, he's very much like, okay, no, look, if we need someone to be on watch, that's fine. I'll do it without grumbling, and I'll just get on with it. That's what I'm used to. But as you've offered, I think he sort of nods like, yeah, okay. But he was fully prepared to just like stay up all night on watch. But
he's been up for a while.
he's a pro. But yes, I think you're all able to gain a bit of rest after the end of a busy day. It's now the following morning, the day of the festival, and I think we rejoin your group as you have been making your way through the teeming masses of the city, all of whom seem to be heading the same direction as you, towards the Avenue of the Immortal, the site of the festival. To say that the city is busy for this festival is kind of an understatement. There are probably hundreds of thousands of people making their way into this avenue. This is a long road. It's miles in length, and the whole place is packed full of people. As you make your way through, the sun is in the sky. It's another warm day. Not much in the way of clouds at all or anything. So, there's people with hoods up and stuff. It's another hot day. You're probably pushing 40 degrees again, and you're assailed as you make your way through by the sights and sounds of all these people crammed into this place. The smell of street food vendors. There's music playing from both speaker towers that you see sort of that seem to be fairly permanent. They're kind of on the sides of buildings and stuff like that. But there are also musicians just sort of moving through the crowd, and I don't want to say like busking, but kind of like, there's just a sort of general kind of celebration kind of feel going on. People are in a good mood. The mood of the crowd, as far as you can tell, is pretty jubilant. And in the distance, people seem to be moving in general along the avenue towards the palace, I will say. And as you go, you can see sort of there's all kinds of like it's not, I almost said like floats, but it's not a parade. This is very much like the festival is happening on the surface of the avenue. People are in the street kind of thing, rather than like lining the sides of it. It's more that there are kind of like, there's stalls and like, I guess kind of like I don't want to say displays, but kind of like display floats, but like stationary, if you know what I mean, depicting, it seems to be, I don't know, various kind of heroic scenes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't have the full context for them. Some of them do seem to be depicting figures coming from above, lifting up a downtrodden person from below. Similar figures on another one who seem to be fighting off some kind of great beast. Whether this is a metaphor or not, it's tough to tell. It's a lot of you're missing a lot of context here, basically. but the crowd seems to be sort of coming to a main mass at the palace end of the avenue. So I guess this would probably be the place to split up if that was the plan.
Yeah.
As I said before, there are buildings on either side, and it's just a large crowd. I mean, this is up to you how you want to approach this, though. But you do get the feeling people are looking towards the palace with some expectation.
Left or right?
Left.
Right, I go. Come on, Fel.
All right. See you boys later.
Ensign, let's get moving.
Let's go.
I will get as high as I can. Maybe find a good vantage point looking down on crowd.
Okay. Now, where are you sort of placing yourselves in this crowd? Are you... Bear in mind, like, it's not like you are at the back. You are... Because the full crowd goes all the way along the road, basically. But are you sort of getting closer so you can get a better view of the palace, or are you hanging back?
Yeah. Probably edging our way along to try and get a good view, but also like have some crowd in front of us. You said that we were buildings. Maybe like we're like standing in the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a little bit of height that we can see, but we're still...
Yeah, you've kind of moved to one side of the crowd, and you've got an okay vantage point here. I mean, it's still pretty busy here, but as I said, most of the people are kind of on the road surface. If you're up on the pavement in a doorway, you've got a little bit of a better view.
Yeah. Are there people up on the rooftops?
There are a few, yeah. I mean, you do see that one or two of the rooftops seem to have guards on them, and there are guards moving throughout the crowd in general. They don't seem to be looking particularly suspiciously at you or anything, but this is not unusual compared to how you've seen the guards up to this point. They just seem to be patrolling in general. But there are some rooftops that just seem to have general, people on them, and that you wonder whether they're like the owners of that building, or they live in that building or something, but they people are on the rooftops.
Probably not a good idea to try and bribe our way up into a rooftop with guards being around.
No.
But Murphy's probably just observing how the crowd is acting, like if they're doing like any kind of like worship rituals or anything.
I think I'm going to need an insight check from you for this.
Okay.
I think with the insight security, I don't know if this can be particularly hard, because this is just sort of you're gauging like the feeling of the crowd and like if you're seeing specific behaviours.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I could get an insight security check, I think... Let's say difficulty 2, because you are looking for specific things rather than just gauging a sort of general mood here.
It's a 7 and a 5.
Okay, those are your 2 successes again.
Oh.
It's tough. You're kind of seeing what I, like, out of character would describe as, like, not too dissimilar to, like, a kind of... well, we saw it recently, like St. Peter's Square waiting for a new pope kind of vibe. Like there are people who are sort of seem to be kind of in small groups, kind of talking amongst themselves and looking very expectantly towards the palace, as if a sort of like, well, maybe not a new pope thing, but like a waiting for the pope to appear and address a sermon kind of feel.
Maybe like hands clasped in prayer kind of thing, or
I mean, not
really
prayer, no, but more there is that kind of feeling to it, slightly of like a feeling of like expectant awe, I would say. Like it is a semi-religious feeling to it, like in terms of like the degree of fealty that's and that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's straying over into the like level of like worshipping and praying to them. However, there are, there's some fervour to the crowd. They are waiting expectantly. And that.
Okay. That's kind of good, because Murphy's like, I don't have to do a funny dance or anything, or complicated bows or anything like that. That's fine.
You're not really seeing any of that, no.
That's good. I think she's probably just trying to like gauge where she can get a good tricorder signal then. From like, I'm assuming there's the balcony kind of thing.
There is about you. Okay, so here's the sort of layout to get to the towards, I think, the absolute maximum. You're really going to struggle to get a tricorder scan of the balcony, I think. because the balcony is not outside the palace walls, and there is a little bit of a gap between. There are kind of I think there would be some barricades at the end of the avenue, so the forcing a gap between where the crowd stops and the palace wall, and then a short distance beyond that is where the balcony is. So yeah, there is a bit of an open space between where the crowd ends, where you would be front row basically, and the balcony itself. So you would, I think, struggle to get a tricorder scan at that range. It's probably 100 feet.
Okay.
There is a line of guards kind of on the barricades, not in like full riot gear or nothing like that, but it's more just a kind of like just a presence there that says like, okay, no closer. You could definitely, I think the closer you get, the better view you will get, but I think you are going to struggle at this range to get a tricorder scan, at least a complete one.
Okay.
It's a good thought though. I think then you're milling around for maybe a short amount of time, just kind of gauging the crowd here. You haven't like arrived at the exact moment that people were waiting for, but you're able to, I think each of the groups is able to kind of get their own vantage point, which is quite you're able to see whatever might be going on. And as I say, there's still music playing over speakers and things like that for a little bit. People are milling around. There isn't like a push to the front, I will say. There's not like a crush of the crowd or anything. At least not at this moment. However, after about, I think probably about 5-10 minutes of you kind of just kind of observing the crowd, observing what's going on, the music that plays from the speakers ramps up volume-wise by quite a bit.
An expectant hush falls over the crowd at this. At first, kind of a sort of excited muttering as sort of spreads throughout the crowd, but quickly sort of falls to silence as all eyes turn towards the palace. And the music that plays, I think it appears to be kind of like a national anthem. People aren't like singing along or anything, but it is, you definitely see people sort of standing to attention. As you look around, there are people as the music is playing who have stood fully to attention, and there's like appears to be like tears forming in their eyes, as that like a look of kind of like pride on their faces and everything, that they are here to witness this. And as the music comes to an end, the silence of the crowd is broken by just massive cheers, roars of the crowd, as everyone looking up towards the palace sees that the two massive double doors leading onto the balcony facing you all have begun to open. The noise of the crowd reaches an absolute fever pitch. People are losing their minds as a single figure walks out onto the balcony. Resplendent in pale, shimmering robes, even from this distance you can see inlaid with the most intricate gold and silver patterning that you've ever seen, draped in various golden jewellery pieces, that the centerpiece of which is a long golden necklace worked to seem like it's made of many snakes intertwined with each other, and from which hangs a large red gemstone of some sort, worked into the shape of an eye. Crowned with an ornate headdress, pulled back behind the ears, clearly designed to reveal and indeed draw attention to the visible trill spots on the side of the face. This must be Lord Yule. He stands perhaps 6 foot in height. It's tough to truly gauge his age, but facially he looks perhaps middle-aged, maybe in his 50s. He does not look unhealthy. There's no signs of fatigue, bags under the eyes or whatnot that perhaps you were expecting, given your theories about his condition. Indeed, he looks the picture of a strong, confident leader as he steps towards the front of the balcony, surveying the assembled masses, an imperious look upon his face. A moment later, he's joined on the balcony by a small group of hooded and robed figures.
their features hidden behind masks, who stand back in 2 lines, flanking the doors from the palace interior. Yul raises a hand, and the crowd falls immediately silent. You can hear a pin drop. He takes another moment to survey the crowd, before his voice, projected from the speaker systems, rings out.
300 cycles. 300 cycles since my arrival and the victory against the darkness that plagued this world. A victory against the beasts of night, to be sure, but a victory against division between the people of this world. A victory that brought purpose which you never had before. Structure and safety, the likes of which you had never known. Peace, stability, community. Such a victory does not come without a cost, but a cost that we have been willing to pay. For unity.
All around you, the crowd chant in unison.
We have made great steps these past cycles. The great renewal has fulfilled its purpose. Industry flourishes, commerce flourishes, the people flourish. Together our unity brings us great things, things that would not be possible otherwise. By my decree, in the coming cycles we shall turn these great steps into greater strides. The future beckons, and I shall light the way. For unity. As I said, victory does not come without a cost, nor without adversaries. There will always be those who seek to undermine what we have built, to tear down this great society. They seek to drive us back into the darkness of the distant past. They will fail. They are enemies of the people. They deserve no pity, no remorse, no future. Bring out the guilty.
A line of 25 shackled prisoners is brought out into the open area beneath the Lord's balcony. They look broken, they're staring at nothing or just blearily around at the gates and through them to the crowd as if they really don't know where they are. They look like they've been beaten. They're some of them are still bloody and bruised. The clothes are filthy, ragged. They're arrayed in a line facing the crowd, and each is forced to their knees by a guard who stands behind them with a weapon in his hand. For a second, the Lord looks down on them, then out into the crowd.
For unity.
As one, the guards strike, weapons piercing the backs of the necks of the prisoners, all of whom crumple into the dust of the courtyard. Their lives extinguished, vital fluids leaking from them. There's a roar, a massive roar of approval from the crowd all around you. Everyone's caught up in this moment, applauding, yelling, cheering. You get the feeling this execution was very much an expected part of the festival. People are cheering and applauding the deaths of these enemies, or whatever they've been so called. Once more, the Lord speaks up.
The future beckons, one that we shall build together. Today, rejoice, make merry, enjoy the festival. Tomorrow, we build a better world.
The crowd, as he turns and heads back inside the crowd, you hear all around you hear shouts of "For unity! For unity! Lord Yule!" before the doors of the balcony slide shut behind him. Alright, that's going to do it for today's episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time on Thursday, November the 13th with the next episode of Frontier, and we hope you'll all join us for that. In the meantime, you can head to pretendingwithice.com for links to all of our online presences, including our Discord server, Ko-Fi page, merch store, and all of our social media pages. So yeah, for now, that's our show. We hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.